What? You don't pour maple syrup into a glass and drink it? Clearly you are not a blossom. La-da-dee-da-dee-doo, what the hell, Riverdale? Doobie-doobie-doo. Doobie-doobie-doo, Riverdale, what the hell? Sipping on that scissor. That's just nasty. That is just, Why did I do that? That was a bad idea. What the hell, Riverdale? Doobie-doobie-doo. Hi, I'm Andre, and it's time once again. Another episode of Riverdale on the CW has aired, so of course I gotta do my review Dale. What the hell, Riverdale? Talking about the new episode. A lot of Blossom stuff in this. Ethel has returned. Barb is back. We got some really dramatic stuff. This was a sad and depressing episode. Let me just be honest with you. I enjoyed the episode, but this episode made me feel sad, made me depressed. And most of this sadness and depression comes from Ethel Muggs. She reads this poem that she wrote in class, and it pretty much sounds like a suicide note. So Veronica's nervous about this. She's worried, so she talks to Ethel and is like, why don't you come over to my place? We'll have some good times, we'll hang out, we'll have fun, even Kevin will be there, we'll have a good time. Kevin's like, what are you doing? And Veronica's like, look, I feel bad about Ethel. Something's clearly wrong with her. A year ago, me and another mean girl, back when I was in my mean girl phase, made fun of this other girl. She felt really bad, and Kevin was like, did she commit suicide or something? And she's like, no. She transferred to another school, but Veronica personally felt bad about it, so she always said that if she saw someone else in that state, she would try to help out, and she wants to do that for Ethel. So she brings Ethel over, they have food together, she's giving her all this jewelry and clothing to put on, just make her feel special. And then Veronica starts questioning Ethel about what's going on. Veronica's mom, Hermione, is there as well. And Ethel opens up and says that her parents are fighting, that they're having trouble with money. Her dad feels like he's about to lose everything. They're about to lose the house. She's really sad about this. And she's like, yeah, it's not a good time in the Muggs household. And then Veronica's mom was like, wait, your last name is Muggs? She's like, yeah, Ethel Muggs. And Veronica's mom, Hermione, was like, Mija, get over here. We gotta talk. So, you know how Hiram Lodge is in jail, and he did some bad things with money, made some bad investments and everything, and so he and people invested with him are losing a lot of money. So Hermione tells Veronica that, yeah, the Muggs are pretty much one of them families that's having that problem right now. So Veronica feels really bad about it. She's like, we have just ruined so many families because of something that my dad did. But she's still being friends with Ethel. Everything is going fine until Kevin runs up to Veronica one day in school and said, did you hear about the suicide attempt? And Veronica's like, what, Ethel? And he's like, no, Ethel's fine, but her dad tried to commit suicide. It was attempted suicide. He's in the hospital now. And Veronica just breaks down. It's this really dramatic scene where Kevin's telling Veronica what's happening, but she's already so phased out. You just hear Kevin going, and then Veronica slow motion runs down the hallway crying, and she looks in the bathroom mirror, and she looks at those pearls that she's been wearing in every episode, those pearls that her father gave her because she loved her father so much, but now she realizes that the father is so evil and has caused so many problems for all the people around her that she just can't take it no more, and she rips off those pearl earrings and they fall to the ground. Close-up shot of her feet with the pearls falling down on the ground, and she's crying, and then Betty runs in and gives her a big hug, and I'm just like, oh my God, the feels! What the hell, Riverdale? And this is probably not a good time for Veronica to not like her dad, because Hermione told her earlier that they're probably going to have to testify soon about Hiram, and Hermione already told Veronica, you know what, we may have to fudge the truth a little bit, but after this whole incident, Veronica's like, I am done. I am done. So could this possibly mean that Veronica may testify against her father, which could get him in more trouble? I don't think that's the thing you want to do against Hiram Lodge. He clearly don't care about nobody. But then Veronica takes it one step further and is like, this is how I feel. What I think you should do, Hermione, is I think you need to come open and clean about what's going on with this land, this drive-in land, to Fred. Because up to this point, Fred has no idea who owns the land. He doesn't know why people are messing with him, why the Blossoms are bothering him. So Hermione finally goes up to Fred and says, my husband, Hiram Lodge, he's the owner of the drive-in land. That is why the Blossoms are bothering you. It's because we own the land. And Fred is not happy about it. And then when he's all like, well, is that why those people came by and tried to take off my power? And she's like, no, those thugs weren't actually hired by the Blossoms. They were kind of hired by my husband because somehow he found out that you and I were having a little thing. And Fred Andrews. Good boy Fred's been happy and kind and sweet to everybody for this entire series. Freaking flips at this moment. He is done. And it was a great performance by Luke Perry. Fred Andrews had great character development in this episode, but I almost felt bad because it's like, oh man, you just took the last bit of niceness out of this Andrews guy. He's gone now. He's gone over to the dark side. He is mad at her. He is mad at the Blossoms. He's mad at the Lodges because he feels like that they're having this whole struggle for land, this tug of war against each other, and he and his son even are caught in the middle of it and being treated like nobodies, like pawns in their game, and he has had it. So he's like, you know what? Fine, I'll keep working here, but now I want 20% of the stake of this land. And she's like, 20%? He's like, I'm just saying, you want to give it back to the Blossoms? You do you. I want 20%. She's like, all right, fine, 20%. He's like, oh, one more thing. This little thing that you and I had, we done. We just business partners only. And he just turns around and starts typing. I don't even think he was actually typing anything. He's just like, I just want to make sure I'm clear that we're done here. Clickety click, 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 click. Hit mouse, 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 mouse. Space bar, space bar. Get out of my office. And Fred says the same thing to Archie too, because Archie got himself caught up in a little bit of Riverdale Indecent Proposal this week, man. The Blossoms are all coming to town. They're going to this resort or second home, I don't know, someplace where it snows all the time, apparently, because they're having their annual maple syrup ceremony, because you know them Blossoms, they got that maple syrup on tap. They got it on lock, man. They are the maple syrup capital kings. And they're having this ceremony. Usually CHERYL goes with Jason. Awkward. So this time CHERYL is like, hey Archie, won't you come with me by escort? This is a very exclusive thing. Not many people get to go to this, and I'm gonna ask you to be my date. And Archie's like, blah, 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 I got a girlfriend, and blah, 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 I don't know what to do, blah, 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 blah. And not only does CHERYL come up to him and play that manipulative game of like, you were so kind to me, you stood up for me when no one else did. Not only does she do that, but then Archie's hanging out in school. I guess he just worked out or played sports or something, because he turns around from a water fountain and there's Penelope, CHERYL's mom, that's just like, hey, I heard that my daughter invited you to our little soiree. I think you should come. Don't you play music? You know what? One of my cousins, uncles, relatives, one of them Blossoms, they got some connections with a music program, a very prestigious music program. I think I can pull some strings and get your name in there. Just come and hang out with CHERYL just for this one night. And you're like, come on, man. It's a trap. Get out. And everyone's saying that. Veronica's saying it. Kevin's saying it. Everybody's like, this is not a good idea, Archie. Everybody is telling Archie that this is not a good idea. There's something sneaky. The Blossoms aren't just generous people. There has to be a reason why they're doing this. But Betty's like, no, Archie, you go ahead and do that. And while you're there, go see what's up with Polly. I've been trying to reach out to her. She has not responded back. Maybe you can let me know what's going on with her. If you remember from last week's episode, Polly chose to go live with the Blossoms as opposed to going back home to the Coopers when she found out that Hal wanted nothing to do with their family because she's having a child, a Blossom child, and the Blossom and the Coopers are like, nah. So Archie said he would do that. He goes to this thing. This ceremony is just weird. It's all these black cars come up. Everybody comes out of the car is a redhead, and this is huge family photo, and it's just red and white and snow. And then Clifford, CHERYL's dad, pulls out this long scroll and is like, here to ye, the maple syrup tapping ceremony. We, the Blossoms, been doing this for generations. I'm just like, what is this? I usually don't like to say that something is white people shit, but this is white people shit. All the way down to them tapping a tree so the maple syrup comes out. And this is something that usually Jason does, but now CHERYL has to do it. Everyone's all worried like CHERYL's gonna mess this up because she's a failure of a daughter. She's the baddest Blossom on the block. But Archie, of course, is like, you got this, CHERYL. I got your back. And then, of course, she hits the tree and maple syrup comes out and everyone's all like, yes, yes. All the maple syrup, watch it flow. Yes, we're the Blossoms. Thornhill. Oh, wait, backtrack. Let's go back to this conversation with CHERYL's mom and Archie. Did you not hear that part where she was all like, you know, in just the right light, and she like touches him again? What the hell? Every time she sees Archie, it's this weird combination of, ooh, you remind me of my son, and ooh, touch me. It's like a really weird balance right there that you get from her when she's talking to Archie. It's very odd. But then Clifford is all nice to him too. He's all like, oh, I like you, boy. You're like one of the family. Or he kept saying like, you have the right look or something like that. I'm just like, what? Are y'all some freaking gentrification up in this piece? Like, they bring Archie in because they feel like he kind of looks like Jason. They feel like he puts Cheryl in control because they can't control Cheryl, and they're trying to make him like kind of part of the family somehow. They're basically trying to hook him and Cheryl up together. And there's some other conversations that other family members have. What we basically start to find out is that Jason Blossom was pretty much going to be the next heir to the Blossom maple syrup kingdom that they have, but now that he's dead, they don't want to give the company over to Cheryl if she's the next in line. None of the other family members want that. Some of the other family members and some of the board of trustees for the Blossom Maple Syrup Company is like, maybe we should take this away from Clifford and Penelope, have somebody else run this. They don't want that, so they're trying to find somebody else to be the next heir that the board of trustees and the family will agree to, so that they can keep that maple syrup fortune going on with their part of the family. This is obviously why they're interested in Archie. They think Archie would be a perfect candidate because he has the look, and he also would probably be someone that they could easily manipulate to do what they want for the company. I also think this is probably why they're very interested in what's coming out of Polly's belly that's part Blossom. They're like, that could be our next heir in that stomach right there. So something's up. You can't even tell if all the Blossoms are part of the same manipulation or if Cheryl's got her own manipulation going while the Blossoms have their plans going. But clearly they want Archie for something and it ain't good. But they are trying to butter him up so much. I'm like, oh yeah, we'll talk to that music program. Cheryl comes by and is like, here's a brand new guitar for you. Gives a little kiss on the cheek too and stuff. And he's all like, oh, you know, whatever, I don't care. I'm just Archie. I'm just kind of hanging out. There's no big deal. And everyone's like, Archie, they using you, man. They trying to set you up for something. Even his dad is like, this ain't right. And he's like, oh, yeah, well, just a dinner. It's all good. Because you know that one event wasn't enough. Clifford's all like, let me go get you some clothes, and then we're going to take you to this other dinner that we're going to have, and we really would like to have you there. You get to meet more of the family, and this, that, and the other. And then Archie's like, look, don't even help me out with the music program. Just if you can do me a favor, help out my dad. You know, he needs help with his business. And Clifford's like, yes. Oh, I believe we can help your father out kindly. He didn't do it like that, but basically he should have done it like that. Dude, and at that point when the Blossoms are trying to invite Archie to the second dinner and Cheryl looks at him and says, will you come with me, Archiekins? I was like, that's Veronica's thing. That's Veronica's thing. Cheryl! But everything's fine so far, and I'm all like, all right, Archie's gonna be okay so far. And then Cheryl walks up to Valerie. They don't even show the conversation that Cheryl and Valerie have. They just have Cheryl sit down next to Valerie and go, hey, Valerie. And you're like, oh, shoot. Oh, shoot. She causing trouble. So, of course, she's all like, yeah, your man and I have been hanging out a lot lately. We going out to this special dinner. And Valerie goes back to Archie and is like, look, I said I was cool the first time. I thought you were just going to tap some maple syrup trees. What else you tapping, Archie? Apparently you tapping that ass. But Valerie's upset with Archie. She's like, look, the Blossoms are buying you. They're giving you guitars. They're taking these special things. They want something from you. They are buying you. And then freaking Archie, that dumb Archie, he's just like, it's just for one night, so you admitting to it. And then Archie comes back around, which is more dumbness. He's all like, well, if you were in my position, wouldn't you do the same thing? And she's like, if you gotta ask me that question, then you clearly don't know me. And she leaves, and I'm like, oh, that is not good, Archie. That is not good. But Archie goes to this fancy dinner. It's weird. It's more weirdness. Archie's dancing with Polly at one point, and Polly's like, Archie, tell Betty to stop checking up on me or stop reaching out to me. I'm undercover. I think the Blossoms had something to do with Jason's death, and I'm gonna investigate. And I'm like, okay, first off, the Blossoms freaking love Jason. They think he was like the poster child for their next generation of maple syrup runners. So I'd find it quite suspicious if the Blossoms killed their own child. I mean, anyone's a suspect at this point, but it seems like they really like Jason in this family and don't really like Cheryl that much. So taking Jason out would be kind of weird. Also, I still don't trust you, Polly. I'm sorry. But like I said, man, it gets weird because Clifford goes over to Archie's like, I really like you being with Cheryl. I think you should continue that. We really could see you having a part in this whole game of the Blossoms and the maple syrup. You know, you put the right picture out there. And I'm like, this, again, y'all some red-headed racists. If you ain't a redhead, then you ain't part of the Blossoms. I'm starting to think maybe the reason they don't like Cheryl Blossom is maybe she's not a real redhead. Maybe she's like a blonde or brunette and they're like, you gonna dye your hair red and we also not gonna like you. I wouldn't be surprised at this point. Archie gets some alone time with Cheryl, and once again, she's like, thank you so much for looking out for me and caring for me and being kind to me when no one else is. And then sure enough, she gets all leaning in close and makes out with Archie on the face. And Archie has this weird kiss. He's like, I'm taking this, but I know I shouldn't be doing it. I'm taking it anyway, but I really should. Okay, get out from me. This is wrong. I'm Archie. I'm running away. So then Cheryl calls him out. She's like, look, I thought you were one of the good guys, but now I see you just probably being here for that music program and everything else. She's like, you ain't caring about me. And he's like, Cheryl, I can't be a part of this. This is all weird. Your family's weird. You're weird. I'm done. I'm out. And that was not a good idea because Cheryl is mad. Cheryl's mad at Archie. Cheryl's mad at Polly. They have this quintessential moment where Cheryl's just sitting on the bed with a black and white photo of the entire Blossom family and board of trustees they took earlier at the maple tapping ceremony. And of course, Archie and Polly's in the picture, and she has this big red Sharpie and she marks out Archie's face, and then Polly comes in and checks on her and she's like, oh, have a good night. And as soon as Polly leaves, she marks out Polly's face too. That's probably why the Blossoms don't want to hand the company over to her. I have a feeling that they think she might be a little unstable, but Cheryl brought it this episode, man. Between that, when she saw Archie's dad, she's all like, you looking kind of dilfy today. I was like, oh my gosh. I love that at one point, Betty and Jughead go up to Cheryl and is like, hey, can you send this message to Polly? And Cheryl's like, okay, if I remember it. And Jughead's like, Cheryl. And she just looks back at him and goes, that was a joke, you hobo. Also the part when Cheryl's in Archie's house and at a certain point she just goes, I gotta go. I feel very claustrophobic in small houses. I was like, damn. And Fred did not like that. That's why he was like, boy, you better watch yourself around these Blossoms. That's trouble right there. That's trouble. Archie even finds out by listening into a conversation that Clifford and Penelope are the reason that Hiram's in jail. They're talking about Hermione crumbling and falling apart, and then at one point Penelope goes, yeah, I think you should have sent her to jail instead of Hiram. Ooh. And poor dumb Archie, man, he goes back to Valerie and he's like, I learned my lesson, I'm quitting the Blossoms. And she's like, that's nice, but I'm quitting you. He's like, what? She's like, yeah. Have you not noticed the last few episodes we have not been together? We had one scene earlier in this episode where we were hanging out in Pops eating pancakes with maple syrup, but the rest of the time, you have not been around me. You've been ignoring me. You've been throwing me aside, and then you're gonna hang out with this redhead. I'm done with you, Archie. Put my headphones on, Beats by Dre, and just run away. But of course, it wouldn't be a Riverdale episode without some fights with the Coopers, because Alice Cooper gets information from Archie about the whole family and board of trustees of the Blossoms coming in and possibly want to take over the company. She thinks this is a great news story, an expose on the Blossoms possibly losing their maple syrup fortune. But when she goes to her newspaper to try and print the story, Hal, the husband, Betty's dad, is like, nah, you ain't printing the story. I don't want you to do it. And then when she tries to log into the computer, he's already changed all the passwords, and she's really mad. She's mad at Hal about not having her paper anymore. She's mad at Hal about losing Polly to the Blossoms. And at one point, she looks at that window. She sees a rock on the ground, and she's just like, grabs that rock. I want my daughter back, bastard! Just throws a rock through the window. I was like, damn, Alice got some anger issues. Just saying. Betty and Jughead's like, you want to produce some news out there. You want to get a paper that gets out there. You need to put your story in the blue and gold. The school newspaper. Forget your actual city newspaper. School newspaper is where it's at. And when Archie comes back to Betty and Jughead and tells them that the Blossoms were responsible for putting Hiram Lodge in jail, they're like, so if the Blossoms put Hiram Lodge in jail, and Hiram definitely has ways to connect with people outside to get stuff done, could he possibly have wanted revenge against the Blossoms? And what better way for a businessman to put revenge on another business than to take out the next heir of that business? Hereto, therefore, Jason Blossom. Now they believe that Hiram Lodge might have been involved in killing Jason Blossom. Could it be Hiram? Could it be Hermione? Maybe she's doing something behind the scenes. We don't know. Everyone's a suspect. Still don't trust Polly. I don't even trust Ethel. But don't worry, next week Jughead's gonna have a birthday party. That'll be fun, because everyone knows that when you're dealing with teen dramas, nothing but happiness comes out of a party. No one gets upset, no one gets punched in the face, no one gets punched spilled on them. And then it looks like Archie's mom is coming home. Molly Ringwald in the house. Oh, I can't wait. What the hell, Riverdale? We are getting down to the final episodes. I'm excited because now it's about to get deep. So what do you think of this episode of Riverdale? Do you have any new theories? Do you think the Blossoms are involved? Do you think Polly is right in that theory? Or do you think that that's another part of Polly's possible evil mastermind game? Or do you think the Lodges has something to do with Jason's death? I mean, that is a strong probability. If Hiram Lodge can bring some thugs over to beat up Fred Power on his land, I would not put murder past that dude. Thank you for watching this episode. If you are new here, please subscribe. I make nerdy videos all the time about Riverdale, Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers, and so many other things. So make sure you subscribe and also ring that bell so you can be notified of future videos that I make. I love you like a play cousin. I'm Audi 5000. Chain Chomp. Yeah.